All right, I am currently at Georgia's best kept secret. I have Daniel Phelan here with me today. Daniel, where are we at?
So you are at Sailor Ridge Treesort up in Ringgold, Georgia. Yep.
And you heard that correctly. Treesort, not
Treesort.
resort.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. It's a resort among the trees.
Yeah. This place is absolutely phenomenal. We've been up here today filming for Financing the American Dream. Daniel and his beautiful wife allowed us to come up here and kind of intrude on them for the day. And thankfully, we've been able to kind of work within some of the guests that have been coming in and leaving. And then the ones coming in, the ones that are leaving. So we're trying to maneuver our way
Yeah.
through it.
Yep.
So, uh, Daniel, tell us about the inspiration of this place and what this is all about. Just speak to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So first off, just thank you for the opportunity. Always love meeting people, and that's actually the inspiration. People. Um, we love hosting. My wife and I, we just genuinely love meeting new people, hearing their stories, and then creating places for people to just let it all unwind, relax, and enjoy what God's created.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, behind me is sort of the newest creation
Correct.
that you and the Lord have built
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
right? So talk about this one behind us.
So this one is we're calling the Shiloh after our youngest daughter named Shiloh, and it's a place of peace and kind of a little mix between the Shire, kind of a hobbit house,
Yeah.
and a fairy tale cottage. But this one has been a really fun project. We've got Uli in the background, John, two guys who have just kind of been with me in this process, and it's just been a labor of love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cannot wait for this place to open up. It's very, when does it open up? It's in the next couple of months.
Yeah, yeah. So the Shiloh's going to be ready in March of 2024.
Okay. And when did Sailor Ridge actually open up? Well, when talk about the beginning stages and what it's transformed into up until today.
Yeah. So my wife and I were actually not looking to do this. This was like a pipe dream that we wanted to do maybe when we retired. Found this property, drove up. It was a wreck and toilets all over the front yard. And my wife was like, "Let's get out of here." And I said, "Are you kidding me? Let's call the realtor." And so we did, and uh, just started building out the first one in 2018. That was the Treehouse, and just been steady at it.
I love it. And then so you've since then you've had the tree house, then you
Hmm.
have the tower,
Yep.
and this is the third. No, I'm take it back. You've also have the greenhouse, which is
Correct.
sort of going to turn into the spa
Yeah,
area.
yeah. So right now it's kind of the community event center,
Hmm.
and we're going to add a spa section to it, and so the whole community Treesort can come and enjoy all their massages and
Yeah.
facials or whatever they want to get at the spa.
So this is truly luxury glamping
Yes.
in a tree house
Yes.
or a Shire type
Correct.
situation.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
well, listen, my name is Darin Hunter, and if you find any value and you're enjoying watching us, please subscribe, please like, please engage, comment below. Um, Daniel, tell me about the community. You mentioned community just a minute
Yes.
ago,
Yep.
and you've been talking earlier about some amazing stories about the community that's really taken you all in and helped you
Absolutely.
build this unbelievable
Absolutely. Yeah.
location.
We could not have done this without this community. From the moment we actually started digging the first holes, we had guys we didn't even know show up, help us kind of build the whole, set the poles, and then from then it's been an entire community event ever since. And so we've been incredibly blessed to have this community of Tunnel Hill and Ringgold, not just to come and support us and be a part of the story, but also participate in the tourism aspect.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, where is this location, compared to Atlanta, Chattanooga? Kind of give everybody an idea of where it is
Yeah,
geographically.
great question. So, kind of right in between Chattanooga and Atlanta, going up 75. We're about, I say in between, but we're closer to Chattanooga, about 20 minutes south of Chattanooga, and then we have the little ones coming in. But and then we have that 75 stretch that kind of connects everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, this wasn't your very first home.
Correct.
Now, you had purchased or owned a tiny home in the
Yes.
past.
Yep.
Talk about that. Like, what was that? What was the reasoning behind that? Did you and your wife just decide that it was just something that you wanted to
Sure.
do? Were you trying to
Sure.
live off the grid? Talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. So, yeah, funny enough, our kind of film journey started with building a tiny home. And what started us doing that was really just debt. We wanted to be debt free, did not want to do that anymore. And so, with the help of my wife's uncle and their family, we went down to her hometown and we built this tiny home from literally nothing. And then we moved it up here. I got family and friends. They got a farm, lived on their farm for about 4.5 years. So gracious to us. And then we've been building this out ever since.
So, a couple points I want to talk about. So, number one, you said no debt, but earlier you talked a little bit about Robert Kiyosaki
Yes.
and Rich Dad
Yep.
Poor Dad.
Yep.
So, are you a believer in leverage and taking advantage and leveraging the assets that you have to help build something like this? I mean, kinda just
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that there's a difference, and he talks about this in his book about good debt and bad debt. Good debt makes you money, bad debt takes money away. And so we were definitely in the bad debt category, wanted to get rid of that. But I absolutely huge fan of just understanding how economics works, how money works. We're on a fiat system, right? So we got to find assets to put our money in so that inflation, the tax of inflation, just doesn't kill us.
we're dealing with inflation on a daily basis.
Yep, yep.
Being in the mortgage industry, it's been sort of my arch enemy over the
Sure,
last
I can
couple of
imagine.
years.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and you mentioned your film career, or you guys are not. This isn't financing the American dream. Isn't by no stretch the first TV appearance that you all have had. Tell everybody, enlighten everybody what that's all about.
Yeah, so my wife and I, we got two kids in the background. If you're hearing that, it's just kind of funny. Even as little kids knows, like
Yes.
But we started a journey when we were really not even our first year of marriage, and we started building a tiny home with a show called Tiny Home Big. What is that show called? Tiny Home Big Living? Yeah, Tiny Home Big Living. My wife's right there. She keeps track of that.
It's a family affair
Yes,
over here.
yeah. So we did that when we bought the property. My wife, she immediately put it on Instagram, kind of shared the journey and the story, and the production company that's been with us has just kind of followed us along the journey with a show called Building Off the Grid. So everything here at Sailor Ridge is done with a show called Building Off the Grid.
So, you know, is it technically, I don't fully understand
Sure.
how that works off the grid. I mean, you're not plugged into power, you're not plugged into water. How does that work? Or
Yeah,
what's the definition
great
of that?
question. So we actually, when we built our tiny house, the whole thing was completely off grid. Ran on solar, used water from a well, and then we had a gas generator that could supplement power usage. Here on, we are tied into the grid, but we do have a backup generator that runs the entire property on propane. So when the grid goes down, we still have power, and our guests are still happy.
So you're prepared.
Yes, yes.
So even if you're coming to enjoy the Treesort location,
yes.
power, no power, here this
You're
lights are
always
going to be
gonna,
on.
yeah, lights will always be on. Yeah, yep.
You're going to be able to experience and maintain that luxury
Yes.
treehouse living for sure.
Yes.
Let me ask you a quick question about the tiny house living. So when is it a home that is in a permanent location, or how does that work?
Great question. So most communities, most counties have a limit on how small you can build a home. It fluctuates between 750 and 800 square feet, some even up to 1,000. So if you're wanting to build a home like we did on 200 square feet, um, really tiny, you have to build it on a flatbed trailer. And so as of right now, there's no rules on what you can or cannot do with a flatbed. And so that's what we did. We moved it up here, and 4.5 years later, with a 1-year-old, my wife was like, "Get me out of here."
So let me get this straight. You and your wife lived in a 200 square foot house.
Mhm.
You've built a location, a Treesort from the ground up together,
Yep.
and you guys are happily married.
Absolutely.
That is
Yes.
unbelievable.
Yeah. That living in the tiny home will either make or break you, and by the grace of God, it made us, and so
That's
couldn't be
unbelievable.
happier.
Well, good for you guys. I
Yep.
mean, it's unbelievable. I can't say enough about this. And some of the footage we were able to capture today is
Yeah.
just really it sort of I'm reliving a lot of like my childhood memories.
Yep.
Running through the woods and climbing trees and certainly didn't think there would be anywhere near a Snow White type of house.
Sure.
This is I mean, just thank you for allowing us to be part of this. This has been tremendous. All right, so mortgages, real estate, that's what Financing American Dream is all about.
Absolutely.
We are, real estate related. You mentioned a couple things real estate related. What do you say about, what do you tell people that are interested in not necessarily building a resort, but looking to get into that sort of Airbnb style, um, passive income
Totally.
type of situation?
Yeah, great question. I would say for the blue collar guy, real estate is the cheapest and most cost effective way to secure your financial future. That's just my own personal belief. I can't control what happens in the stock market. I can't control what happens, but I can control what happens with my own property. And so if I can leverage that and make it an asset, right, instead of a liability, then man, I think everyone should have the opportunity. Airbnb and that whole VRBO industry, short-term rentals, is kind of new. I mean, within the last
Sure.
decade, maybe
Yeah,
decade and a
yeah.
half, and so it created another opportunity. Instead of just doing the long-term, you could go in and spend about $30,000 building something that you can get a three-figure income.
So a lot of people, I can tell you right out of the gate, a lot of people are going to say you can't build $30,000 anything these days. You've proven that you can.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of the I feel like concerns or discussions we have on a regular basis with first-time home buyers
Right.
is not necessarily buying that $500,000 house. Now, of course, I'm not saying go buy a $30,000 house. That's
right.
A little challenging. You guys have found property and built, and then turned it into an income-producing property. But again, you can, if you're creative, you have that sort of that ability to put your talents and tools together. You can create this amazing style of living and create wealth. And you do have your daughters right here. You've got your wife here.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate wealth, man.
Amen to that. It is by far more valuable to be able to be at home with your family, whatever you're doing. If you have a job that allows you to spend time with the people that matter most in your life, you're golden.
It's awesome. All right, now you mentioned blue collar, so I don't necessarily consider myself a white collar person. I don't know. Maybe I am. I don't know really what the definition.
I don't know where the economic scale is. I just know that
I can change a tire. I can change a tire. Right. So where you said blue collar, but why blue collar? Why did you mention it that way?
So the way I look at it is I'm not a billionaire. I don't have control over the market, right? I don't know what trades are going to happen. I'm not privy to any of that information, but I am privy to what happens in my local community. And because I know my local community and I know real estate, something that I can actually touch, if like you said, if you have that creative capacity, if you have that entrepreneurial build to you, man, you can take literally anything and turn it into a business and take something that just would be an asset when you sell it and make it a continual cash flow.
I love it. Yeah. Now, before I let you go, we talked about this in the past, while we've kind of walking around throughout the day. You guys don't do a ton of marketing.
Correct.
So, you told us a great story about to leverage social media to create this amazing following, and your occupancy is out of this world. Explain to everybody what you did and where you're at as far as occupancy and those type of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So we like to maintain at least 80% occupancy. Year to date, we've been blessed. We're hovering around 93% occupancy rates. And we look at curators, influencers. I mean, that's a full-time job to be a curator and influencer. We highly value the work and the effort that they do to influence their community. And so we just work with them to come and do the marketing for us. And so we've built some incredible relationships with those influencers and have since had them back multiple times. And again, it's a people industry. So we had talked about this. It's this, I wouldn't consider short-term rentals a passive income. We're very much involved in the day-to-day, but it is a enjoyable.
Excellent. So last piece of advice for people out there looking to just get into real estate, what would you tell people? Is there a book that you would recommend? Is there research that you would follow? I mean, what would you recommend just to the average person out there that wants to get into real estate in any, whether it's a first-time home buyer or somebody that's looking to do some sort of Airbnb situation?
Yeah, great question. I would honestly, I would read audiobook if you don't do that. Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Honestly, there were so many other books that I had read that I don't even remember now. But that book right there will start you down the real estate path, and you'll just realize he talks about the tax bracket in 4 quadrants, right? You're an employee, you're in that special small business, you're a big business, or you're an investor. Investors pay 0 tax. So put yourself in the investor category so that you can help a community build itself up because you're adding real estate, things that a community needs to grow. Everyone needs a place to live, and every community needs businesses. So that's just kind of a little brief explanation. I would just encourage anyone, and I do, get into it.
Yeah, love it.
Yep.
Now, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, so you can follow us on at Sailor Ridge Treesort on Instagram, and then you can also go to our website.
Thank you, Daniel. Man, this was,
it was
truly
a pleasure, man.
It was pleasure is all mine. I mean, this has been a tremendous day. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for having us out here. Please like, subscribe, follow along, and we look forward to seeing you next time. That was another guaranteed interview. We'll catch you on the next episode.
God bless you guys.